Welcome back, listeners. We're diving back into Middle-earth today, and I'm so excited to explore the excerpts you've sent from the Fellowship of the Ring.
Tolkien's world is always ripe for discovery.
Right. Even when rereading the book, I find myself noticing new things, making new connections.
It's amazing how much detail he packed into this world.
It really is.
And those details, like you said, they often have a deeper significance, a story of their own.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're going to be looking at today, exploring the hidden depths of Tolkien's world, starting with the excerpts you've all sent in.
Sounds like a plan.
Great. So let's jump right in, shall we?
Let's do it.
One of the things that always struck me about Tolkien was his incredible attention to detail.
Oh, absolutely. Like every word, every name seems to have a purpose.
Right. And he was really particular about those details, especially when it came to the names and languages he created.
Oh, yeah. He was notorious for getting frustrated with printing errors, even seemingly minor ones.
I remember reading about his annoyance with the change from dwarves to dwarves.
Exactly. It wasn't just a spelling quirk for him. It actually messed with the linguistic integrity of his world.
Like, how so?
Well, Tolkien carefully crafted his languages, like Quenya and Sindarin for the elves, to have a specific sound and structure.
Ah, I didn't.
And changing dwarves to dwarfs, it might seem like a small thing, but it actually disrupted that carefully constructed sound.
So it wasn't just about the spelling, it was about how those words connected to the deeper history and culture of his world.
Exactly. For Tolkien, these details mattered. They added to the realism, the believability of Middle-earth.
It's like he created an entire linguistic ecosystem, and even small changes could throw it off balance.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So it's more than just being a stickler for grammar.
Oh, absolutely. It's about creating a sense of immersion, drawing the reader into a world that feels real and lived in.
Now, that's fascinating. It makes you appreciate the level of thought and care he put into every aspect of his work.
It really does.
Okay, so moving on, we have some excerpts about hobbits and their beloved pipeweed.
Ah, yes, pipeweed, a hobbit's favorite pastime.
I always just assumed it was something they grew in the Shire, part of their idyllic rural life.
It's a natural assumption.
Right. But the excerpts you sent paint a different picture.
They do indeed.
Apparently, Tolkien places the origin of pipeweed not in the Shire.
But in Bree, of all places.
Wait, really? Bree, that's so unexpected. Why do you think Tolkien would do that?
Well, it adds a layer of complexity, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It suggests that even the hobbits, with their simple pleasures, are connected to the wider world.
It's like even their most cherished traditions have a history, a journey of their own.
Exactly. And it's interesting to think that the prancing pony, this somewhat rough and tumble inn, is considered the home and center of pipeweed smoking.
That's right. It kind of challenges our image of hobbits as being, solely homebodies.
It does. It suggests they have a taste for adventure, for venturing beyond the borders of the Shire.
And it reinforces the idea that everything in Middle-earth is connected, even in the most unexpected ways.
Exactly. There's a richness, a depth to Tolkien's world building that's just remarkable.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about some specific events from the excerpts. We have glimpses of Bilbo's 11st birthday party, the one before he disappears.
Ah, yes. From the darkness of the caves with Gollum to this grand celebration.
What a contrast, right?
It is. Tolkien describes this lively scene with hundreds of hobbits, musical crackers going off, an impromptu hobbit orchestra playing.
Oh, I love that image. It sounds chaotic and joyful, just like a hobbit party should be.
Exactly. And then, in the midst of all this merriment, Bilbo just vanishes.
Gone, leaving everyone utterly bewildered.
It's a dramatic exit, to say the least.
It makes you wonder what Tolkien was going for there, beyond the theatrics.
I think it speaks to Bilbo's restless spirit, his desire for something more than the comfortable routines of the Shire.
Maybe it's a foreshadowing of the adventures to come, the unexpected turns his life will take.
It could be. And then we see Frodo, years later, continuing the tradition of the birthday party, even though Bilbo is gone.
That's an interesting detail. Why do you think he keeps it going? Out of obligation? Or something more?
I think it's more than just obligation. Perhaps it's a way for Frodo to stay connected to Bilbo, to keep his memory alive.
Maybe it's a way of holding on to a piece of the past, a sense of normalcy in a world that's starting to feel uncertain.
Because even in the Shire, the shadow of Sauron is starting to creep in, isn't it? We see more dwarves and elves passing through, rumors of the enemy in Mordor reaching Frodo's ears.
It's like the darkness is encroaching on their peaceful little world, and Frodo is starting to sense it.
Even Sam, Frodo's gardener, seems to have an intuition about things.
Oh, yes. He remembers Bilbo's stories about elves and faraway lands, and you can almost sense his own yearning for adventure.
Perhaps those youthful conversations with Bilbo planted a seed in him, a seed that will blossom into something extraordinary.
It's fascinating how Tolkien sets all these pieces in motion, how seemingly insignificant details connect to larger events.
And then, of course, we have Gandalf's return to the Shire after a long absence.
Ah, Gandalf. You can always count on him to shake things up.
His arrivals are never ordinary visits.
They're not. He brings news about the ring, and that changes everything.
He reveals that the ring is far more powerful and dangerous than he initially believed. It can dominate the will of any mortal who possesses it.
That's terrifying. And it makes you wonder, how can anyone, even a hobbit, resist such power?
That's the interesting part, isn't it? Gandalf believed that hobbits, because of their simple nature, might be more resistant to the ring's influence than even the wise.
Really? That's surprising.
It is. It suggests that there's a strength, a resilience in their ordinariness that's often overlooked.
So it's not about power or magic, it's about something deeper, something more fundamental.
Exactly. It's about inner strength, about resisting temptation, about staying true to oneself.
So recognizing the danger, Gandalf urges Frodo to leave the Shire quickly and secretly.
And of course, Sam is eager to join him.
Oh, Sam. He's the definition of loyalty.
He is. He's excited about the adventure, but more importantly, he wants to be there for Frodo, no matter what.
And amidst all the seriousness, we have that comical scene with the Sackville Bagginses trying to take over Bag End.
Oh yes, classic Sackville Baggins's behavior.
Even in the face of impending doom, Tolkien manages to inject some humor.
It's that balance of light and darkness that makes his writing so captivating.
Absolutely. But the danger is real, and
Yeah.
the Black Riders are already on Frodo's trail.
The stakes are high, and the journey is only just beginning.
And it's not just Frodo and Sam anymore. Merry and Pippin get caught up in the adventure.
Goes to always curious, always getting into trouble.
But they're also brave and loyal, standing by Frodo even when things get dangerous.
They confront a Black Rider, which is incredibly reckless, but also shows their courage.
And then we have the arrival of Aragorn, the mysterious Strider.
Strider. A man shrouded in mystery.
He knows about the Black Riders, about the danger Frodo is in, but his true identity is still a secret.
He's a descendant of kings, yet he chooses to walk in the shadows.
There's a depth to him, a complexity that's intriguing.
And his connection to the hobbits, his willingness to protect them, speaks volumes about his character.
It's like he sees something in them, something pure and good that resonates with him.
Perhaps he sees in their simple courage a reflection of the king he could be.
That's a really interesting thought.
And then, of course, we have their encounter with Tom Bombadil.
Tom Bombadil, the most enigmatic character in all of Middle-earth.
He's a force of nature, a being of pure joy and power, who seems to exist outside the rules of the ring's influence.
He lives near the Barrow Downs, a place steeped in darkness, yet he remains unaffected.
He even rescues the hobbits from a Barrow-wight, a creature of ancient evil.
It's a scene that's both fascinating and unsettling.
It is. It makes you wonder, what is Tom's true nature? What are his powers?
He's a mystery wrapped in a riddle, and his role in the story is open to interpretation.
But one thing's for sure. He leaves a lasting impression on the hobbits.
Oh, definitely. And he provides a brief respite from the growing darkness that's closing in.
It's like a moment of light and laughter before the storm breaks.
And unfortunately, that storm is about to hit.
Because their time with Tom is short-lived, and soon they're back on the road, heading towards Bree.
And at the Prancing Pony, they have that fateful meeting with Aragorn, who finally reveals his true identity.
And pledges to protect them, to guide them on their journey.
But their moment of respite is shattered when the Black Riders attack.
Their escape from Bree is a desperate scramble for survival.
It's a heart-pounding chase, a race against time.
They discover Gandalf's cryptic message at Weathertop, adding to their fear and uncertainty.
They're alone, hunted, and the shadow of Sauron is closing in.
And on Weathertop itself, they face the Black Riders once more.
This is where things take a dark turn.
Right. Frodo is wounded by a Black Rider, and the ring's temptation becomes almost unbearable.
It's a harrowing scene, full of danger and despair.
Frodo's resilience is truly tested in this moment.
He's wounded both physically and emotionally, and the ring is whispering promises of power and escape.
But even in his weakened state, he manages to resist.
And Sam, bless his heart, remains steadfast by Frodo's side.
He's the embodiment of loyalty and friendship, a constant source of strength for Frodo.
And just when all hope seems lost, Glorfindel arrives.
A shining beacon of hope sent by Elrond himself.
Their flight to the ford is a race against time, with the Black Riders hot on their trail.
It's a desperate gamble, a fight for survival against overwhelming odds.
And the scene at the ford, with Glorfindel commanding the river to rise up against the Nazgul, is just breathtaking.
It's a powerful display of elven magic, a testament to the forces of good that are still fighting against the darkness.
And finally, they reach the safety of Rivendell, a haven of peace and healing.
A much-needed respite after the terror of their pursuit.
And there, to their surprise, they find Bilbo. What a reunion that must have been.
It is a moment of joy and relief, a reminder of the bonds of friendship and the enduring power of hope.
But the shadow of Sauron still looms large.
Right. The Council of Elrond is about to begin, and the fate of Middle-earth hangs in the balance.
The excerpts we have for this section are just a glimpse into the weight of those decisions.
The Council brings together representatives of all the free peoples, elves, dwarves, and men, to discuss the threat of Sauron.
It's a moment of great import, a time for decisions that will shape the course of history.
And we'll be diving into those details in our next part.
I can't wait. Stay tuned, listeners, for part 2 of our deep dive into the Fellowship of the Ring.
So the Council of Elrond, It's fascinating, isn't it? You've got all these different peoples gathered together, elves, dwarves, men, each with their own, their own unique perspectives.
It really highlights, I think, the challenges of communication and cooperation. Even when everyone's facing a common enemy, like take the elves, for example. They have this ancient wisdom, this long view of history that's so different from, say, the men of Gondor, who are dealing with a much more immediate threat.
Yeah, it's like they're operating on completely different timescales. And that can lead to some real misunderstandings.
Right. And then you've got Gandalf dropping this bombshell about Saruman.
Oh man, Saruman. Talk about a betrayal.
It's such a tragic turn of events. This wise and powerful wizard seduced by the ring's power.
Makes you wonder, right? If someone like Saruman can fall, what hope does anyone else have?
It's a chilling thought. But even amidst all this doom and gloom, Tolkien still manages to inject some humor into these excerpts. Like, remember those scenes where the hobbits are trying to navigate the etiquette of Rivendell?
Oh, yeah. The hobbits, with their simple ways, trying to fit in with all these elegant elves. It's classic fish-out-of-water stuff.
It is. And it provides some much-needed comic relief.
Totally. It's like Tolkien is reminding us not to take things too seriously, even when the fate of the world is at stake.
Right. And then you have this incredibly poignant moment where Aragorn recites the ancient song of Beren and Luthien.
Oh, wow. That scene is powerful.
It is. What do you think Tolkien was going for there?
I think it's about more than just, a nice story. It's about the enduring power of love and hope, even in the face of darkness.
Yeah, and it really connects Aragorn to this, heroic lineage.
Exactly. It's foreshadowing his own love for Arwen and, the challenges they'll face.
Right. It's a love story that echoes throughout Tolkien's work. But we can't forget about the main event here, right? The Council's decision to destroy the ring.
Man, talk about a weighty decision. They know what's at stake. The fate of Middle-earth literally hangs in the balance.
And yet they also know there's really no other choice.
Right. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most difficult choices are the ones we have to make.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you have the formation of the Fellowship, 9 companions chosen to accompany Frodo on this perilous quest.
Each member representing a different race, each bringing their own unique skills and strengths to the group.
Right. You've got Aragorn the Ranger, Legolas the Elf Archer, Gimli the Dwarf Warrior, Boromir, the Man of Gondor, and of course, the 4 hobbits, Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin.
It's a testament to the power of cooperation, right?
Totally. That even the most diverse individuals can come together for a common purpose.
And there's this touching moment where Bilbo offers to take the ring back.
Oh, yeah. It shows how much he cares for Frodo.
Right. But in the end, Frodo knows he has to be the one to carry this burden.
He accepts his fate. And the Fellowship departs Rivendell.
Setting off on this epic journey, with the hopes of Middle-earth resting on their shoulders.
But they're not going in completely unprepared. They receive some pretty amazing gifts from Galadriel when they pass through Lothlorien.
Oh yeah, Galadriel, the Lady of Lothlorien. She's a powerful and enigmatic figure.
She is. And her gifts are both practical and symbolic. Like she gives Frodo a phial filled with the light of Arundel's star. It's like a beacon of hope to guide him through the darkness.
And to the rest of the Fellowship, she gives those cloaks of elven make. Woven with magic and starlight, they offer protection and concealment from the enemy.
It's almost like she's a mother sending her children off into the unknown,
Yeah.
giving them what they need to survive.
Exactly. And as they continue their journey, you can sense the tension rising within the Fellowship.
Right, the constant threat of pursuit, the weight of the ring, the disagreements about how to proceed, it's all starting to take a toll.
And then there's Gollum, lurking in the shadows.
Oh, Gollum, he's such a tragic figure, twisted by the ring, yet somehow still capable of, moments of both malice and pity.
His presence is a constant reminder
Yeah.
of the ring's corrupting power.
And how it can twist even the most innocent of creatures.
Exactly. And you can see Frodo struggling more and more with the ring's influence.
He's becoming withdrawn, secretive. The burden is weighing heavily on him.
But he keeps fighting. He keeps resisting.
His strength and resilience are amazing, but you have to wonder, how long can he hold on?
Right. And that's what we're going to explore in part 3.
The excerpts focus on this critical moment at the Falls of Rauros.
A moment of truth for the Fellowship. A decision point that will change everything.
The Falls of Rauros, it's like this point of no return for the Fellowship.
Right. This sense of inevitability.
Like you can really feel the tension building in these excerpts.
The weight of the ring. The weight of their mission.
And then it all comes to a head with Boromir.
Oh man, Boromir.
To see him, this noble warrior succumb to the ring's temptation.
It's heartbreaking.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like even the strongest among us can be corrupted by this power.
That's one of the most terrifying things about the ring, right? It preys on your weaknesses, your desires.
And it twists them, turns them against you.
Exactly.
So Boromir tries to take the ring from Frodo.
And that's when everything changes.
It's like this huge betrayal, It shatters the Fellowship.
Right. It forces Frodo to make a choice.
To trust the others or to go it alone?
With the ring.
With the ring. And he chooses to go alone.
Which, you can understand why.
Right. He's seen what the ring can do, even to someone like Boromir.
It's a decision born out of necessity.
And despair.
Yeah, definitely. But it's also a moment of growth for Frodo.
Like how so?
Well, he's realizing the true danger of the ring, how it can corrupt even the purest of hearts.
So it's not just about physical strength, it's about
Inner strength.
inner strength.
About resisting temptation.
And about staying true to his purpose, even when it means being alone.
Exactly.
And who does he choose to go with him?
Sam, of course.
Samwise
The
Gamgee.
most loyal companion anyone could ask for.
He never gives up on Frodo, even when Frodo gives up on himself.
Their friendship is one of the most beautiful things in the story.
It really is. So Frodo and Sam set off on their own.
While the rest of the Fellowship
Is broken. And it's interesting, right? Because it's like this reflection of what's happening in Middle-earth as a whole.
How so?
Well, you've got Sauron's forces growing stronger, the free peoples divided,
Right.
and the fate of the world hanging in the balance.
It's like this microcosm of the larger conflict.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even in the midst of all this darkness,
There's still hope.
there's still hope, right?
Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, they choose to pursue the orcs who took Merry and Pippin.
They could have given up, but they don't.
They're driven by loyalty, by duty.
And by this belief that even small acts of courage can make a difference.
Which, that's a powerful message, right?
It really is. It's like Tolkien is saying, even when things seem hopeless,
Never give up.
never give up. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Fellowship of the Ring,
What are some of the things that stand out to you?
well, I think what strikes me most is the power of hope, Even in the face of overwhelming darkness, these characters never lose sight of what they're fighting for.
Right. They're willing to sacrifice everything for the greater good.
And they find strength in each other, in their friendships, in their loyalty to one another.
And it's not just the big heroes like Aragorn or Gandalf,
It's the hobbits, too.
especially the Hobbit.
They're the ones who really embody this spirit of perseverance.
They're ordinary folks,
Ordinary folks thrust into extraordinary circumstances.
and they rise to the occasion.
They do, and they show us that, even the smallest among us can make a difference.
That's a really a really inspiring message.
It is. And I
Hmm.
think that's what makes Tolkien's work so timeless, you know? It speaks to something deep within us, this yearning for hope, for courage, for connection.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that even in the darkest of times, there's always a light shining somewhere.
Always a light. And it's up to us to find it, to nurture it, to let it guide us.
Beautifully said.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, listeners.
Until next time.
May your journeys be filled with wonder, and may your own inner light shine brightly.